Call me a crazy optimist, but I thought they were clearly the better team in the game.
All right, well, let's get into this. Unfortunately, the good news about the Naylor signing is that it came like an hour or two after the Seahawks lost to the Rams. So we were able to be like, well, we only have to talk about that for half the show because we also got Naylor to talk about. What did you take away from that? I don't honestly. I'm sort of joking. Yeah. I did not panic after that loss. I don't think it was the end of the world. I still think there's a lot of positive, and it doesn't really deter me on my thoughts about where the Seahawks could go this year. But what did you make of it?
I mean, call me a crazy optimist, but I thought they were clearly the better team in the game. I mean, they dominated the game in just about every way you can dominate, except they had turnovers, and they had a chance to win the game at the end of the game. Like all that stuff happened. Usually you get four interceptions. You have no shot in a game, but yet there they were. We can do the Sam stuff. We can go a lot of different areas you want to go, but I mean, I left that game thinking two things. Number one, based off the end of the game, Sam Darnold, even after that performance was not broken, that he still had it in him to get him down the field. And number two was, I mean, look, if that's as bad as you turn the ball over and all those things, and you still have a chance to win that football game, like they're going to be just fine.
How you don't really get to watch TV copy, right? I mean, this is all
based on, I just watched the tape. Yeah,
that's the beauty of chatting with you each and every week. There's not any bias to what you hear, what you see, or what the optics of a TV camera can give you. You're just straight looking at the all 22, correct?
Correct.
So obviously that still flashes the score, right? Because time, score, gives you some of those things. But you're saying if you just watch the 79 snaps offensively of the Seahawks and the 51 of the Rams, in your opinion, physically, it was pretty clear who the better team was?
I thought so. I mean, I thought they were able to hold up the line of scrimmage on both sides. For the negative Sam stuff and their big ones, the interceptions, he made more big time throws in that game than Stafford did. I was going through it and I was kind of thinking, Brock, like it was some of it almost you wonder if they could have protected him from himself a little bit with that game. In other words, like, if you think about swimming in the ocean when you're a kid and, they might have, maybe there's a shark warning or something, or maybe there's like buoys where you say, hey, the tide's too strong here. Let's stay out of this area of the water, swim over here, but not here. Like the Rams, clearly they wanted to funnel things to the middle of the field, and they had robber player in there that was free and loose that could just read Sam. And they got him a couple times. Everything they did at the perimeter, whether it was underneath where you could watch JSN break tackles, whether it was down the field, you get the amazing one-handed catch as well as a bunch of other completions, like big-time drive throws, but out of harm's way on the perimeter. That to me should have been a little bit more of the focus in that and kind of save him from himself and some of the danger that lurked in the middle of the field.
That being said, I mean, 3 of those 4 picks were late? Back foot,
so I can give them to you.
Pass.
I'll give them to you. Back foot floater on the first one, which, that's a mechanical thing. You can't do that. The second one, I didn't put on him because you have 3-on-2 in pass pro. They run a game. 75 does not pick it up. So you've got the back and you've got the guard and the tackle for 2 rushers. They just run a simple twist. They get a clean run through, hits Sam in the chest as the ball comes out. He doesn't get anything on the throw because he's getting hit. And there's no part of him that would have thought you're going to get a clean run through when you've got 3 blockers for 2 rushers over there. So that one's the forgiving one. Then the next one, you get him just locking on. He just doesn't come off of it. He locks on and takes him right to the football. And then the final one, which was probably the most, it's a 3rd and 3, but the most egregious to me is that's why I just wrote it's a hero interception. He's trying to dodge 3 guys and then trying to make some incredible jump throw. That was just him doing way too much. So I always say that all interceptions kind of have their own story, but I think he definitely has to own 3 of those.
What's interesting in that, DJ, is the same hero complex there is the same hero complex that allows him to flush those and put together the final 2 drives, right?
No, I mean, you don't average what he's averaging per attempt. You don't do that by playing, scared in those things. I just think and there's certain games against this team, the way and feeling out the game, kind of how your defense was playing, you're controlling Matthew Stafford, you're controlling the clock, all those things. I just thought in this game, maybe it didn't call for that same aggression, and we could have just lived a little bit more outside the numbers.
So let me say this again, without crushing Sam for the game. I agree with everything you just said, and I think the fact that they did come back at the end and the second to last drive was great. And honestly, if it's not for what might be the best punt I've ever seen in my life, credit to that guy. It was unbelievable. In the situation, that might be the most clutch, great punt I've ever seen, putting it at like the 1 foot line. If they get the ball at the 20, I think they win.
Yeah, they win the game.
I feel like they probably win that game at that point. So I'm not killing Sam. But don't think that it's fair to kind of go back to saying there are still some buts, some question marks about whether or not Sam is truly one of the guys who can be among the elite quarterbacks in the game.
I mean, I guess that's fair. I mean, he's got to do it in the bigger stages. I'd much rather kind of learn this lesson for him in this game than to learn it in like he learned it last year, at the very end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, look, you can't have games like that in big games. But, I mean, I'm coming off – it's hard for me to say that when I'm coming off of a trip that I just took to Jacksonville and watch the Chargers lose 35-6. Like, you're not gonna have it every single week as an individual or collectively as a team. So I think
the fear with Sam isn't the consistency of it. It's the question. It's not even a fear. It's just a question because it hasn't been answered yet. Not can he do it consistently, but can he do it against the best in the biggest moments? I think that's the one question that I think
Tampa's pretty good, right?
Yeah, they didn't win.
He played great. What do you have? 4 touchdowns through Brazilian yards
until the final drive.
Well, until he got smacked at the end.
Until the final drive,
he played winning. I thought he played winning football in that Tampa game. And I'm just trying to think of off the top of my head the good teams that they've played.
Well, San Francisco has actually been pretty good. They lost that one, and unfortunately, in the first game of the season. Pittsburgh's been pretty good, and they beat them, which was great. Sam played tremendously in that game. Washington was better when they played him, but still not very good. Arizona stinks. New Orleans stinks. So, I mean, like, he's played a mixture of teams. Again, this isn't a shot. It's hard to ask this question without it sounding like I'm sitting here saying, I don't think Sam Darnold is good. He's been awesome, and I'm really excited about him, and I like what he's done. I'm not quite ready to crown here on week 10 because I just want to see more and more against the really good teams. I want to see what happens against Indy. I want to see what happens against the Rams in game 2 on Thursday Night Football in front of the country. Like, I want to see those things before making like a final determination on what I think this guy is.
Can we find common ground though? Can we say he's he's firmly in the top 8 to 12 quarterback range? Like, can we agree that he's at least in that neighborhood?
100%. Like, to me, that's not even up for debate right now based on how he's played, not just this year, but the last 2.
That's where I'm kind of at. It's like, okay, I will. My thing is people saying like he's not, it's almost like he's not any good, and is he a quality starter? Like,
no,
we've crossed that bridge a long time ago. That was when I was saying the no buts. Now, if you want to talk about getting into the Josh Allen, Mahomes, into that neighborhood, like start where those elite guys are. Yeah, he's not there.
Or even just behind those guys, right? Like, okay, I don't need him to be Josh Allen. I don't think he's got the physical, the full skill set to be Josh Allen. Nobody does other than maybe Lamar, right? I mean, like those guys have freak show abilities. But to be right after that, to be a guy that's going to win playoff games, that's going to take this team to an NFC championship or a Super Bowl, I think the jury's still out on that, and I think you're right. He's a good quarterback. I know he's in the top third. I want to find out if he can be in the top 5 or 6.
And I think another good win, by the way, I think another good win was the win in Jacksonville. I mean, the Chargers went down there, a good team, and just got absolutely mollywopped. And, Sam and the crew went down there and took that game from them. I'm curious, DJ, do you have a favorite axiom for a quarterback? Was there something a coach through the years, a GM, that said to you, like, in particular when it comes to walking that line of pulling the trigger, of walking that line between being aggressive and checking it down, just that line that you got to navigate, that if you're not Josh Allen or Lamar and you're basically everybody else, that decision-making process, was there something that stuck with you through the years?
Yeah, there's two things. I mean, and they're ones you've heard a million times. I mean, obviously there's the can't go broke taking a profit. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a completion collector and just take what's there. And then the other one, which I thought was very descriptive way of playing the quarterback position, is the great quarterbacks are selectively aggressive. So, you can't live like that down in and down out, but when you've got calls and coverages that marry up, like we're going to selectively be aggressive and take our shots. And there's a line there. And I thought in that game that we've been discussing, I thought that he went over that a little bit, where it was it's too much. Try and just do a little bit too much. When you get your shots, take them, but you can't take those shots when they're not there.
That's really good. And that totally pairs with what Coach McDonald talked about with us yesterday defensively, in that line that he walks in the same vein of calling those defenses that sometimes I got to fold. Sometimes the game situation, I want to be aggressive, or I want to blitz, or I want to do this, but I'm going to fold until the cards are in my favor and I get a chance then to be aggressive. Tom Moore used to say to me, and Salk is probably tired of me saying this, DJ, but I thought it was so good. And for 20-something years, it's resonated. And in my broadcast, I'd say it all the time. Play smart, not scared. Play smart, not scared. And he would just, yell that at you, even to Peyton, but in particular, all of his backups through the years. Play smart, not scared. Because you can't play, and this from your days of playing, DJ, and the voices on one shoulder and the other, right? And you can't ever play the position not scared to make a mistake. Can't do it. But then you got to play smart. And I thought that was where the line on Sunday for Sam got a little bit wonky.
Yeah, so that's the difference between you and me. And my college coach was like, "Hey, Jeremiah, you can always check it down to the back. Let's not kid ourselves. You don't have enough arm to get that thing out there."
Pretty good.
How many in your life experience, DJ, how many defensive-centric head coaches, and I don't know if that guy was a defensive-centric head coach, how many of your defensive-centric head coaches really understood the quarterback position?
I never had one. So, I mean, going back I went to two different colleges and in high school, I mean, that's it. That's three coaches, and they were all offensive guys. So we were always, different offenses, but was still more of an attack and aggressive mindset. Whereas, I've I've time in the NFL and been around different coaches that way. And then like Romeo Crennel was head coach when I was in Cleveland working there. And it was very much a, hey, don't make a mistake. Don't turn it over. Like it's kind of just a little bit, you get a little bit hamstrung, playing the quarterback position that way. Cause it's just for whatever you do, don't lose us the game. Instead of, hey, go win us the game. It's, hey, just don't lose it. Don't lose the game for us.
There is an element of that with this team though, right now, just based on how good this defense is. How good is this defense?
They played great, man. There was only a couple things I would say that it was the first kind of rookie game I thought for Emmanwori, in that I thought they attacked his eyes a little bit, where he was a little bit late to trigger on some things just because they gave him some other things to look at in terms of, some motions and different things that way. I thought that there's a couple plays where he was a little bit lost.
Do you think some of that could be because he played more? He played the third most snaps of anybody on the defense after Ernest Jones and Kobe Bryant. Do you think some of that is just maybe an initial exposure to playing as much as he did?
I think it's more so a compliment to McVay and how everything can look the same, and you give you a little bit of a guesswork there, whether it's run or pass. He's really, really good at designing all that stuff. And I thought there were some times where he was just kind of a little bit guessing and not playing quite as sure. He's been really good, up until this point of just pulling the trigger, just trust it, go. And I thought they created a little bit of hesitancy in him in this game.
How about the rest? How about up front though?
It was awesome. Across the board, all those guys were making plays. I mean, everybody on the front, when you go through it, it's not just one guy. It's 0, it's 7, it's 53, it's 99's getting doubled and they can't move him. It's a really, really complete effort. They had a couple missed tackles. You get the missed tackle, 39 out in space, you miss tackle, and they score a touchdown. And I thought the Rams actually did a pretty good job of getting up to Ernest Jones. They got clean up to him a couple times, and they were able to get a few runs because of that. But then I thought McDonald is such a good coach that they just a little subtle adjustment. I was curious about it because they had some angles to him. So then they just started lining him up near the line of scrimmage. And then you eliminate the angles. And if they want to throw, he could, he was backing out at times, but he kind of changed the way they could attack him because they were able to get up to him a little bit.
Felt like from a football intellectual horsepower, this might have been as good a matchup as you're going to see. McVay and McDonald.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah, it was great. And, they have some, big time players over there. So they're going to make a couple plays, which they did. But I mean, you go down, one of the first things I looked at before I went to the whole game, I was like, let me look at the box score and see what the story of the game is. So the two stories of the game based off of the numbers would lead you to believe, okay, let's watch the interceptions. Let's go through that. And the next thing was the red zone efficiency for the Rams versus the struggles for the Seahawks. So those are the first two things that I watched. And even though the Rams were successful in the red zone, I mean, they made them grind it out. I mean, they're inside the 5 and just, it was everything for them to get into the end zone 3-4 downs later. So I thought the fight was tremendous from Seattle there. And then even on the Seattle offensive side of things, the red zone, I'm like, were there blunders? Well, on one of them, there's nothing there, and Sam actually made a smart play, threw the ball away, save you some points. On another one, they have a penalty, so they're off schedule, and then not trying to do too much, make sure you get points out of it. So even their red zone numbers, which didn't look good on paper, wasn't quite as bad when I watched the tape.
We interview Mike McDonald every Monday. It is. You were talking about interviewing Jim Harbaugh and what that's like, and there's an element like you got to really plan for it and how you're going to ask every question and what direction you want to go with it. Brock asked one of the best questions of the year yesterday. Mike told him so, and then I thought gave a fascinating answer regarding. Brock, I could probably just let you set it up regarding defensive philosophy and what you're trying to accomplish on defense.
Yeah, there's some that just run their scheme, and it can be successful. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Miami Dolphins in the heyday when we were with the Colts, they just lined up in, 4 down, and Zach Thomas was in the middle, and they played trap, and they just did what they did, right? Mm-hmm. Or the Seahawks in their heyday, all right, post safety and played 3 and mixed and matched a little bit. And then there's other schemes like Gary Patterson that want to defeat every single play. His job, while he was eating his pants and losing his voice and sweating like a demon on the sidelines, was I'm going to defeat every play call you've got.
So Brock asked Mike about it. This was the answer.
That's a great question. I think it's a spectrum, and I think you can be successful on wherever you fall on the spectrum. So I've worked for guys that are fully on that side of it, and we had every answer in the book. And some games the offense didn't move the ball. Some games it was not pretty, And our execution, I think, was a little bit lower than it should have been. And played for some guys or worked for some people that are probably on the other end that kind of we do what we do and we call it given the situation, and let's just go outplay them. We're here. We're definitely somewhere in the middle. I think it's just based on the situation and what they're telling you and what you need.
It's really interesting. I would ask, can you live in the middle? But obviously you can, because they're having a lot of success doing that.
I think it is a great question. It's a great conversation. I remember having discussions like this when I was in Baltimore amongst our personnel guys I thought there were times where we had gotten a little too cute, like we were trying to do too much. And it was like, guys, we've got not only, good players, starters, Pro Bowl, we got Hall of Famers over here. Like we can just line up and play it. We don't need to trick anybody. And we just say like, this is not like we're one of the service academies, playing against the top 5 team in the country. And we've got to kind of, trick them here with what we're doing. We can line up and play it. And then I also think that, hey, sometimes where your roster on the low end, you've got to be a little bit more creative and changing things up and trying to have the perfect coverage for every single play, because you're not going to have the guys to lock it down. But I tend to lean a little bit more towards the, what you're going to get, maybe a little more simple. I had a coach that told me once upon a time, you tell me a team with no tendencies and I'll tell you a team that stinks. Like you better be able to do things well, even if we know you're doing it and you can execute it. So it's a great conversation.
Yeah, it was fun. How did the middle of the offensive line look? That was one of the areas that you were concerned going into the matchup with all of their movement, and Fisk, and they're athletic, and their front's really good too in LA. How did Bradford and Olu, and then ultimately Haynes comes in for Zabel? How did you feel like that middle of the offensive line handled the Rams?
I just think they're, to me, it's the 2 guys. It's 75 and 55. Like if you can keep them on one track, if they're moving forward, down blocks, keep them on a string. They're okay. The problem is when you ask those guys to cut off, when they've got to try and be a little more athletic and reach and cut off guys on the backside, that's not going to be something that they're going to be able to do. And that showed up. And then when you're getting up to the second level, if you've got to adjust in space, that's not something that they're going to be very comfortable with. So, I thought 67 played really well. 72 was on the ground a little bit. I didn't think he was his best game. But it wasn't like this is just, egregious. I know, Brock, you were texting me about Oots. I went through and watched him specifically. He only played 19 snaps in that game, and he just got ragdolled at the point on one that was really bad. And I think that's, that's one of those things where that can kind of stick out in your head. And I thought, okay, maybe there's 2 or 3 plays he'd like to have back out of 19, but I didn't think he was a major issue there.
Okay, good. Good. I love the numbers, don't you, Salk?
I do. Yeah, because then you have to kind of think through who DJ's talking about because you don't know any of the names of the guys.
It's just easier. It's just kind of how I go through when I take my notes.
Football guys
don't know
names.
We're not expecting you to know every name.
No, you're a real
DJ,
football guy. Football guys are like, oh, yeah, no, you look at 55, they do this, 87 does that. Yeah. You're going to come here, you look at the 3 tech, go over here to the 7 tech.
I know Timmy, I know Bradford, but it's just when I'm reading off my notes, I'm going to
that's fine. Yeah, you just talk. You say 5 tech. It's fine. Like we embrace all that fancy schmancy talk around here. All right, DJ, thank you. A great talk as always. I'll miss you next week. I'm sorry, but
you're not going to ask him about trading for Tatis?
Oh yeah, is he available? Can we trade for Tatis?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's no chance.
Sure,
they sell out every game,
They're
and
about
he's
to
why
sell the
everybody comes
team,
to watch
man.
that guy.
They're about to sell the team.
So why would you sell your most valuable asset?
Because he's expensive. Because they can't afford
APY's
what they're paying.
$24 million a year.
They can't afford it.
The guy's one of the 5 to 6 best players in baseball. He's making as much money as your 300-pound first baseman you just signed. Come on.
Hey, that's a 300-pound first baseman. I think stole more bags than Mr. Tatis did this year. How many?
He stole over 30. He stole like 30.
Well, this guy stole 30.
Thank you,
19
DJ.
in the last 2 months. Bye, DJ.
You and me next week, DJ.
There you go. All right. Daniel Jeremiah.